Hello and welcome to JK, It's Not About You. I'm Jen Rouse.
And I'm Kelly Mirko, and we're your hosts. We're new empty nesters, and we're here to talk about what the next chapter looks like.
For so long, we were taxi drivers,
Domestic engineers, chefs,
tutors, cheerleaders,
and everything else that goes along with being a parent.
No days off, no paid vacation, and very limited time to pursue our own passions. It just wasn't about us.
It really wasn't. Join us on this new endeavor as we find passions in all things empty nesting. The little birdies have flown the coop and they're living their best lives, and now it's our turn. We're sweating through our 50s trying to figure it all out.
From resetting on marriage, navigating divorce, dating at 50, we're here to reclaim our calendars, our bodies, and our newly found identities in this confusing yet exciting new phase of life.
So grab your glass of wine or beverage of choice, your cozy sweats, and join us as we unpack all things real in our 50s. Welcome back.
Welcome back, everybody.
Here we are again.
JK, it's not about you.
It is not about you. I'm Kelly.
I'm Jen.
Yes.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
What was your week like? You finished up Sundance.
My week it was crazy. Yeah, I finished up Sundance, and now I'm like finally getting back into a program. We're still busy, but at least we're only doing dinners, so we're back on track.
You look so cute in your quince sweater.
Thank you. So do you.
I'm wearing the zip up.
I'm wearing, like, they call it a sweatshirt, but it's a cashmere sweatshirt pullover, and I love it.
My sister-in-law
Yes.
got us involved in quince.
We are quinceing.
And quince is such the deal. I know
see-
you'll see it on Instagram, but it's like such the deal.
And everyone needs a splash of quince.
I love it. I love the gloves.
We
I
live
love
in
the
it.
hat.
I love the suits.
I'm ready to try the sheets.
I can't wait till summer.
Jay really cares about quince.
We're quincing it up. Maybe
so
they'll come
funny.
out with some snowboard stuff. You never know.
You know what? They might already have it.
They might. They might. I was looking for Apple Bands, and they had them. I was like, oh my God.
No, they didn't.
I swear to God.
Oh, you got an Apple Watch,
I know.
too.
Oh, I'm tracking.
So
not as
75
diligent
hard.
as Elias, but I'm tracking. Yeah, 75. I think we're 34 in.
We're 34 days in, not drinking, doing our exercises, the boys helped me move the cold plunge inside yesterday.
Yep.
I think
That
that's
was
going to
nice.
be a big difference.
Yes, yes, especially in the cold winter. Like, it's nice to have that cold plunge inside and get that run in and then jump in the cold plunge right after.
And not have the
Oh.
iceberg that
Yeah.
I have to wedge myself into.
So
because
you run and like straight off the treadmill, you go in there? That's
Or
nice.
before.
Yeah,
Or
but
before.
After.
After is good, yeah. Because you're already like warm and sweaty and like you
So
get it and it's
good
easier.
for your hips
Yeah.
and your joints.
Okay.
And everything, so.
I think sweat
Shout out
lodges
to
are pretty
Culture.
Yeah.
Culture plunges. They're the best. Canadian company.
Yeah, it is.
company.
Yeah,
What is the
true.
name?
Culture.
Oh, Culture. I knew that.
Great.
Yeah, you
Great
were telling
company. Yeah.
Kim about that.
Great
actually.
company.
Yes.
Great company.
Yeah.
So this is Jay, everybody.
Hi, Jay.
Hi, guys.
Jeremy.
Thank you so much
Jeremy
for having
Lindeman.
me.
Yes, and he is Nate's snowboarding coach and really has been such a phenomenal influence, not just for the sport, but just your person, and you get him doing everything that he needs
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah.
And Kelly and I wanted to talk to you because we had an episode recently with Elias, and he started to talk about how I always want to know, like, from a parent's perspective, how we support an athlete getting to this level, right? Like,
Yes.
and even, I guess it starts even when they're little, but like how parents can either, what is the best way for parents to support kids through this kind of thing? So maybe you can talk a little bit about athletes and how you see it, and
Yeah.
that would be great.
Yes, for sure. Like, obviously, like just in general, like it's nice for an athlete to have like this motivation and this purpose, and that purpose needs to come within you and not from an outside like factor or influence, and that person that you want to obviously like become, and just that whole like self accomplishment, it has to come from the athletes. It has to come from them, because it's very easy to feel a lot of pressure and stress when you do the sport, and you don't want that stress and pressure coming from the outside, right? You want to kind of create that own pressure and stress, like in your own rhythm, if I could call it like that. And if there's like obviously like a purpose that, let's say you want to become a certain type of athlete because you want to satisfy your parents or just like make them proud, it usually doesn't come from the athletes when that's the case, you know. And it's harder to stay motivated that way, you know. And just, you know, we always have like this little thing that makes us want to wake up in the morning and you know, just go through our day and through that process of accomplishing things. And if it comes from just like wanting to make your parents proud, it's not going to be like a longevity motivational, you know what I mean? It's going to be very hard for an athlete to maintain that motivation throughout the whole process. Yeah.
I mean, because one day you're going to wake up and you're like, oh my God, I'm not doing this for myself.
Exactly. And if an athlete just feels like already there's a lot of pressure and expectation and high standards that we put on ourselves doing sports or anything you want to be accomplishing, and you want to have your own goals like coming from yourself and that purpose that you create for yourself, and not coming from an outside factor, which would be, you know, making someone proud of yourself or wanting to accomplish certain things for somebody else, right? And that's gonna kill an athlete's dream at some point, and that pressure and stress is just gonna invade them, their mental strength, and at some point it's gonna be hard to maintain for a long career for sure.
So what about the athletes that are passionate about it,
Yeah.
and it is their dream,
Yeah.
and they are motivated and they want to get, you know, they want this to be their life. But, you know, what is the best way for us parents to like support them? I know you see parents that maybe give too much support, or parents that are overbearing, and it makes, you know, the child go the other direction that you probably want to see them go, or they want to go. You know, is it best for us to like keep quiet, hold back? Like we, you know, we're always trying to, you know, do our best and want to be the most supportive.
Yes, 100%. And most of the time I feel like it's the parents had dreams when they were younger. Let's say they were snowboarding, you know, they wanted to make it happen for themselves and they couldn't for XY reason. And then now their kid is pursuing this pathway, you know, and the parents want him more than them because they're kind of like living through their kid's dream, you know.
Yes.
And most of the time there's either like this aspect or the money aspect. A lot of parents are putting a lot of like money support, and it's very expensive. Like whatever sport you want to do in life, it just becomes more and more expensive, and they are putting that pressure where you need to perform because we're putting a lot of financial support right now when we don't have infinite money. So they are just like, it's another stress for the athlete to like take in, especially when they need to focus on training and performance and just the standards that they are putting on themselves. And most athletes are really, really perfectionist. So it's hard to have like another stress factor associated to that, you know? So you want to be able to, as a parent, I think, just support your kid as much as you can and not create any standards or goals for themselves. You know, they have to do that with their coach, I think. Yeah. The coach is going to establish a training program and some short and long-term goals for them to accomplish based on what the level is at, you know, in the sport. So for like the parents, just like being there, supportive, being proud of them and just like congratulating them or just be at an event and supporting them when they land runs and just being proud of them, that's all they need. You know, they are going through that process with the coach, and I think the coach needs to take care of everything that comes in terms of like preparation and structure for their program. And yeah, that's what
I like that. That's what you see. We had a little chat recently about it's not all the goals at once.
Yes.
You know, because I think that they do, at least for Nate, I see that sometimes that he gets like in his head.
Yes.
And he has to complete a certain amount, and it's Elias mentioned the effort has to be there, of course, but it's the journey.
It's the journey.
Right?
The journey. It is the journey. And sometimes like we want to move forward very quickly. We have goals that we want to accomplish right now because we compare ourselves a lot to other athletes that are performing super well. And everyone is performing and training a different way, and everyone is has their own rhythm, you know, like someone's gonna take a little bit of a slower time to reach a certain goal. Maybe someone it's going to be a little bit faster, you know. Everyone is moving at a different pace, but it doesn't mean that one athlete is moving faster than the other that the other is not going to make it necessarily. It's a process, and at the end of the day everyone is going to accomplish the same goals, which ideally is to become like the best in the sports. That's usually what the athletes are aiming for, and being able to perform at a really high level and landing runs and winning competition. And it's not because you are not reaching that goal the first or second event that you do that it's a failure, you know. Like we are all falling in the sport that we do, failing too, but those are all like really great way to just move forward after that and just learn from your mistakes, you know.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
I do too. I really do. I think it's such a more manageable way. And how do you because you train also young kids and nurture them through like the beginning process, right? To start.
Yeah.
Do you see at a young age like the internal fire? Like, do you see the kind of athlete it takes to do this level that Nate's doing?
And do you see that it's their fire or if it's the parents' fire?
Do you see the difference?
It's hard to tell when I start working with kids. Obviously, I need to get to know them a lot, you know, to see like what I'm dealing with as a coach, and if the passion comes within the kid or just from that outside factor, which could be the parents in this scenario. But when I work with younger kids, I don't want to put them a lot of pressure on performance, especially when they're like, you know, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. This is super young, and you don't want to put them in this box where you need to be super disciplined and super structured, and you know, wake up every morning at 6 a.m., go work out, eat well, go to the mountain, go through this whole training program that we have like set up for your performance. I see it more as just making sure that they're having fun, because that's the whole point of doing sports. At the end of the day, it's to have some fun, and at some point you are getting to a level where you need to take it a little bit more seriously, for sure. But you need to go and just understand that if you're not having fun, then you're most likely never really going to make it in that sport, you know, because without fun, there's just like no joy doing what you're doing. And you need to enjoy it in terms of being able to have a structure, a discipline, and just like a fire within you to like move forward in the sport and get better.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. And then you kind of know, I guess, when, I mean, at least the snowboarding's so difficult because, you know, it seems to be getting more and more challenging.
Yeah.
I mean, the tricks that they're doing now versus when Nate was little is just, it's just getting harder and harder, and the push and the drive and the, you know, and that intensity all the time. How do you manage that? Because it's got to be a lot of emotional stuff too. Like,
it's a lot, for sure. And I think you want to establish some short-term goals, first of all, and just like making sure that you gain like small wins every time. And it could be every day, you know, like let's say we're working on a specific rotation or axis in snowboarding right now. And it's very easy to compare yourself to athletes that are doing like all those crazy rotation, but they've all been through that whole process of learning the smaller rotation first, right? And you don't want to look at their result because you're not there right now. You need to focus on those small wins that you're accomplishing every day on a daily basis, you know? And then once you accomplish that, then you can move forward to the next short-term goal, you know?
Yeah, so it's just taking steps.
Small step forward, and doing what you told yourself that you would do. Let's say for Nate as an athlete that's 18 years old right now, or 17 years
17.
old, I think. Yeah, he's still young, but he's in that window where he needs to start taking it seriously, and obviously still having some fun and finding that balance between training and riding with friends and things like that. But he needs to make sure that small goals are just checking the box, you know. So today we're gonna do a frontside 360 with this specific grab. Then that's all that matters right now, you know. And the reason why we work on those small little steps is because if we accomplish what we told ourselves we would do today, which would be the front 3 in this scenario, then tomorrow we can move to the frontside 5, which is adding an extra degree of rotation to it, you know. And then that's how you just build up that confidence. Because if you're just looking at getting the big rotation right away when your fundamentals are not dialed, then it's most of the time the athletes are just disappointed very quickly.
It's overwhelming.
It's overwhelming, very disappointing, because it's unreachable goals, you know. So that's why those small steps are very important for the athlete to gain that confidence and then move forward with their progression.
It must be hard when you have groups of kids with like different levels, right? So is that why you limit your group size to smaller?
I am, and I'm trying to keep them as the same level as well, even though I think it's super good to ride with people that are better than you.
Of course.
Right? But it's just very easy for the athletes that's at the lower level at the moment to look at the athlete that's a little bit better, because obviously he's been through that process and he's done all those basic and fundamentals, to tell himself like, oh, like he's so much better. Like right now I want to do that high degree rotation. Mm-hmm. But you have to like limit yourself to where you're at in your progression and focus on that and not focus on the other. That's super important. And it's the same concept as doing something for your parents or somebody else, you know. It's focusing on yourself and then eventually you'll get to that level for sure. But you need to trust that process. That's super important, because wanting to reach a specific goal, and sometimes athletes just get super disappointed because they want to reach that goal too quickly, you know. So they end up being disappointed, and also like it's just like at the end of the day, you're just like accumulating disappointment like that. It's super hard on your confidence, you know. It's very hard on your confidence. So yeah, just focusing on yourself, what you got to do, and trusting that whole process, because like it's really easy to forget the process and just get angry like all the time because your standards are too high at the moment based on where your progression is at right now. And if you don't enjoy that process, then how can you enjoy that little time frame where you accomplish that specific goal, you know? Right? If you didn't enjoy the process, then
it's all about the journey.
You just took the words out of
my mouth.
It really is. It's
and
the effort.
It's
the effort in the journey.
You can carry this through every part of your life.
Well, I was thinking about like running, for example. Like, I mean, I'm not a good example, but like when you train for a half marathon, you start small.
Yes.
And you don't just like go run 6 miles. I know.
You do.
I do. I'm not a good example, like I said. But I'm not trying to win anything either. No. You know what I mean?
No.
Let's be
You just want to finish it.
I just want to be in pain one time.
Right.
So, yes. But, you start out 1 mile, 2 miles, and then you work your way up. But I think for most people, if they like went out and tried to run a half marathon, they'd be very disappointed.
Exactly. Because if you're not ready to run those distances and you're trying to run that 42 miles that this person did, and you're not at this level because you didn't go through that whole process of the training and that preparation,
you suffer.
Then you suffer, you get injured, and you're like, wow, I'm like, you get disappointed and you're just angry at the end of the day because you're like, I can't accomplish it. But you can't accomplish it because you set some super high goals instead of just trusting those small steps. You need to go through those small steps in terms of reaching those higher goals. Yeah.
So important.
And another thing that is so a little like is this whole social media aspect of the sport, right?
Yeah.
Like the pressure, I mean, at least I've always had to kind of rein Nate in a little bit about the expectations of like sponsorships. And again, the financial thing is very big for it's a lot of money and a big investment. But again, it's also like how parents maybe need to look at it is it's the journey. It's part of the life experience rather than the outcome of what's on social media, what's going to be like. do your athletes, do you talk to them about that? Like worrying about, posting and, keeping up with I don't know.
Or
really,
looking at someone else.
or looking at someone else.
And being like, oh my God, they were doing this last week and they've already doing that, because like you said, people progress differently.
Yeah, because on social media, you don't see the process. You just see you just see the result. You just see the win. So you tell yourself like they were doing this on social media last week. That's what they posted, like a super big trick, let's say. And a week after they're adding like an extra degree of rotation. You're like, how did this person progress that fast, But again, you just look at the result. You didn't see the whole process. Maybe the athlete worked like 40 hours a week on that specific trick.
And the thing with Instagram or any of them is like, they could have taken that video God knows when. It doesn't mean it was taken the day it was posted.
Right.
Yeah. Yes.
So then, you're trying to, I just think it gets in everyone's head, when did this happen? Does anyone know? Whatever. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But
100%. And a lot of athletes are posting videos just for reassurance, for likes and comments and that kind of attention that you're seeking, So to me, like seeing that, like the whole social media aspect is like, it's kind of like a toxic environment where you're just trying to do the tricks for recognition and to post it and people to tell you look good, you're stylish, like you're so good and all these things, So I think it's very superficial and it's another pressure that you're adding on yourself and your performance.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why I think these poor kids, like they have so much pressure now. We grew up without cell phones. Can you imagine?
Yes. And honestly, I wish I was born in that time because if it was me, I wouldn't have Instagram. I find it super toxic. Yes, I find it super toxic for my mental health personally because the grass always looks greener at the neighbor's house, So again, you just see the result, but you don't see like everything they've been through to accomplish that. You're just like, wow, this person is so good looking. This person is so good at what he does, and why am I not? And you just that result is just like very, very. It's just like. It's like poison a little bit,
it kind of is.
It poisons your mind. It creates anxiety and extra pressure that you don't need.
You're creating, a bunch of stories in your head, a narrative that it doesn't exist.
That doesn't exist. Exactly. So social media shouldn't happen. It shouldn't have been there. But we're living in a world where it's here. It's among us. So we have to work with that. And also, like you were mentioning sponsorships, they are looking at everything you're doing through social media,
of course,
because they're not on the field looking at what you do on a daily basis. So you feel that pressure of posting clips for them to look at what you do and be like, wow, I'm so happy that I'm supporting this kid, either sending them some jackets or snowboard or giving them some money, So it's just an extra pressure that you put on yourself when it comes to accomplishing your goals. Yeah.
And so you think too, like maybe just for the parents that want to know this information, right? Like maybe like pulling the gas off that, like don't worry about that. Like all this stuff kind of comes as part of the journey.
Yes.
Just as organic,
where you land.
And the parent is the same concept because they most of them doesn't even know the sport that the kid is doing really, has no experience in the sport that the kid is performing in. And the parent is going to look at this professional athlete do a certain rotation. And he's going to ask the kid, oh, did you do this frontside 12 today? And the kid is like, I'm not there in my progression. I'm doing some 5s and some 720s at the moment, which are smaller rotation. But then because the kid hears the parents say that, he's like, oh, or he or she is like, oh, I need to do it because my dad like is asking me if I'm doing that trick. And it means that if he's asking me this, it means that if I do that trick, it's going to make him proud or her proud,
That's such a hard thing.
Yeah. It's very hard. It's very, very hard.
And you're out there. I mean, I don't know the tricks or anything. Kelly and I go out and watch Nate and all we know is you have to land.
Yes, yes, exactly. But it's in between the coach and the athlete. The parent should just be there. At the end of the day, the kid comes back home and the parents is obviously going to ask, what did you do today? Oh, I did this and that. And even if for the parents, it seems like very small. There's a reason why the athlete did that today. Right. There's not just like no purpose to it. It's because you're making sure that those fundamentals are ready to just ready for those next steps, you know.
Yeah.
So for the parents, I think that the healthiest way to see it is just being proud of the kid, no matter what he's doing or she's doing, and congratulating them. Be like, wow, that's awesome. Like you're doing, you're very good at that. You know, you just let Nate do his things. We come back from training. What did you do today? Oh, I did this and that. You have no idea what he's talking about.
No, I don't.
But you're still proud of him.
Yeah.
You know, you're not like, oh, did you do this or did you do that?
No.
You know?
I think being a good listener when these kids
Being
walk
a good listener. Exactly.
is huge, because when you kind of quiet and open your ears a little bit,
Yes.
they speak a little bit more, and then you can understand. You know, we try to understand.
Right.
I mean, we ask
Mhm.
questions, you know,
Yeah.
if there's people around that
know what's
know the
going
lingo.
on.
Yeah, because
But
you guys are interested in what he or
yes.
she did, you
Yeah.
know?
For sure. But yeah, I
For
mean,
a kid just to talk about it and explain what he did or she did,
it's great.
it's
It's enough.
it's enough, you know?
Yeah.
Because just talking about it for them, it also brings them back to what they learned that day, and just like kind of like do a little bit of introspection. Okay, yeah, I did this, mom, today, or dad, and I'm so happy because I worked on this specific aspect of the tricks, you know, or the rotation. And for him, that's enough, just to talk about it. It's like you don't need to receive advice. Just
Right.
talking it out loud feels good.
Yes.
You know, and it
Being
makes
heard.
you realize
Yeah.
things after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's always good to rely on you, like rely on the coaches, because that
Mhm.
must be also a position of yours that's hard, because you're like, let me just do my job.
Yes.
Let me just do what I know.
That's why I'm hired. This is my role, you know. So the parent should step aside and just let the person that they hired do their job.
I think
Absolutely.
that
You know,
would
you
be
play
a lot easier.
Yes, you play like hockey in a team, like in the NHL. Let's say the parents are not going to get involved. The coach is going to tell them, "You're stepping aside. This is my role right now. You're
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's the same thing in snowboarding, which is seen a little bit different. Snowboarding, because it's more like individual. You know, it's not as a team really.
Yes.
So parents sometimes are just gonna step in and try to like lecture or coach their own kids, but they don't have that knowledge or experience. You know.
I see it in rock climbing. It's an individual sport.
Exactly.
It's very similar.
Yes.
Um,
So when you just have one coach, like this is the coach's job. That's it.
yeah.
I
As it
mean,
should
I
be.
think that's how it is. But I've seen a lot, and
Mhm.
that's why
Yeah.
I've been really.
we just
I've
wa-
seen it in team sports. I've seen it in. It's all over and you want your child to feel good and successful and win, right? Everybody does, but you also, it's such a delicate balance of just being proud of them for this process.
The harder part of the process is being happy and supportive and making them feel good when shit goes wrong.
Yes.
Bad.
Yes.
Right? It's easy to be like, you're number one.
Totally.
You're a winner. Get on the podium. Good job. Thanks, Jay.
Yeah.
But that's the hard part. And I think that's what parents need to focus on and understand and give a little bit of grace to their children, and allow them to go through the process of whatever that day was or whatever that comp was.
Yes.
Versus trying to tell them what they did wrong, or I caught it on video, you should watch, whatever it is, hard day,
Yeah.
like you gave it all your effort, you trained really hard, great,
effort
next
is the
time
thing.
The effort.
next time will be different. Now you know what you need to work on.
Yeah.
I just think those are better
Narratives.
Yes.
Yeah. Just recognizing the effort that the kid is doing, because
They're working so hard.
they are working
Yeah.
very hard, and it's mentally challenging for them,
Yeah,
just going
for
through
sure.
that whole training and discipline and the instruction and whole process. And I think that telling your kid that he or she's the best is not the way, because it creates like a certain status in their head that they're not even there, like saying like, oh, you're the best right now, you were the best during that day, which is not the case. And then after the kid goes to the mountain or whatever sport he's doing, and he's thinking, oh, like my dad or my mom told me I'm the best, and then realizes going through like competition or training that I'm not the best right now, so it's disappointing after, you're like, wow, like someone tells me I'm the best, but then at the end of the day, I'm not.
And you know what I noticed? I don't know if you did in rock climbing, Kelly, but when Nate did competing when he was like 5-6 years old, he never won that much. And it was like the kids that won every single time didn't know how to lose and didn't know how to like struggle. He battled when he was little, you know, and then he started to do better and, you know, whatever. But like it's also that mentality, like they can't all win.
They can't all win.
Everyone should not get a medal.
No.
I had the complete opposite experience because when Elias started climbing, we were in Idaho and he won everything. Everything.
Yep.
And then we came to Salt Lake and we walked into that Momentum Mill Creek and we had never seen a gym like that. Like it was, you know, it's amazing, right? Momentum does a great job. And so he did make it on that team, which they took like 4 kids out of hundreds. Which was amazing, but he was nowhere near number 1. And he has still to this day, you know, sets his goals and works very hard and is very focused because you know, it's always nice to ride with someone better. It's also very nice to climb with someone better. And he works and works and works to try to get to that level again. So we are kind of the opposite, you know, of having to keep his spirit up and, you know, give him the motivation, not give him the motivation, but encourage his motivation and to be supportive, even though he dropped down a little bit.
I think the best way for an athlete to learn is to fall and fail right away a lot. Then learn from that and just learn that discipline and that resilient aspect of the sport instead of, but it happens also, but I would say like instead of just winning and then going into a higher level and then losing for the first time when you're used to win all the time. And mentally is so hard. So you'd rather like lose 100%. And fail and just fight back to get better and to eventually claim that top position or becoming the best or whatever, because you've learned that whole like resilience and just grind.
I could not agree more.
Yeah.
So I mean, just from my experience and going the other direction, I wish that it happened the other way.
Yes, and a lot of kids are gonna want to stay at that level when they win everything because it feels good, first of all, and you feel valued a lot because you're the best in what you do. But once you compare yourself to athletes that are a little bit higher level, then it's very hard mentally and you're not used to that. And then you just get disappointed. And this is when you start wanting to reach goal right away because you're not at this level right now and you didn't learn that resilience aspect, you know?
Yes, I can relate to that in so many ways. In so many ways.
Yeah, because Elias talked to me about it a little bit now that, because I know he was winning a lot like that.
Well, he was in competition with himself. I mean, we were in Idaho, so we never traveled at that point because he was like 2nd grade.
Yes, you know, this sport didn't have a lot of exposure in Idaho.
And one day, you know, we were told about this. I didn't even know about the USA climbing team. I didn't know anything. Okay. So I was introduced to the youth program and all of that, but not till we moved here. Sun Valley was so small. That wasn't accessible to us. We would have had to live in Boise, or Pocatello or something. So it wasn't even on our radar. So, you know, he did his thing and then we came here and he was just like, he's a different kid because it intrigued him. He wanted to be, you know, he wanted to learn how to use his feet better and he wanted to learn how to do what he didn't know. It was intimidating, but it also was encouraging, you know, like he wanted to get after it.
Yes.
It's finding that balance.
Yeah.
And it's in everything. It's in everything. You could be doing some race car competition and you almost like rather start like in the back of the field and trying to catch up to the first person instead of just being the first all the time, because you've got no challenge, you know. And if you just know that success of being the first all the time, you don't have that anger of trying to reach that person in front of you. You know, that drive,
fire.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
See, that's how I do the runs.
I know. So smart.
I find the next person and I catch up to them, and I find the next one.
Our half marathon. It's so fun. So fun.
Do it till I finish. Yes. No. That is.
This is a really
It's
important
so helpful.
subject,
Yes,
and like
very,
it was good
very
to get your
important.
side versus, and we'll sit down and talk to Nate too, because I think it's good to get both sides of the story, you know. And when Elias spoke to us, he said we have enough pressure on we want to do well.
Yes.
Because
So
they are putting pressure on themselves. They don't need outside pressure.
they
They
don't.
don't.
You know?
So
No.
I think that's our takeaway today.
It is.
Right?
It
It's
is.
like let it grow, let the love manifest for it.
Be supportive. Be a good listener.
Yep.
And know that our support, whether it's financial and everything, is just part of the journey, right? Like just
Yeah.
we
I
don't
agree.
know the outcome.
No.
I agree. And even if they don't accomplish their goals, at least you were supportive and just recognize the effort, and it's gonna reflect to whatever else they decide to do in life. You know, either it's a sport, performing in sport, or being the best cook in town, or
Yeah.
opening a
Yeah.
restaurant, or whatever. It doesn't matter.
They're gonna be driven at life.
Yes.
Those people are driven at life. Like
They really
whatever
are.
they do.
Yes.
And it's
it
pretty
will
awesome.
create good
It is.
values
Yes.
and just good like
work ethic.
work ethic. Exactly.
And discipline and
Yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
And I love that you've had standards that they have to do and meet and, you know, show up with a good attitude and, you know, and we've been working through some of those things this season, you know?
Yeah.
And it's good for them in life just to have these skills,
Yes. Yes.
to compete, to be at the gate, right?
Yes.
And have that fear and that anxiety and that, you know, and perform, and all this is all part of maturing and becoming the person you want to be, right? Like,
Establishing some short-term and realistic goals
I like it.
to be able to accomplish that goal. That's obviously
Yes.
realistic, and that will give you that confidence to move forward and go through those next step and those next short-term goals. You know.
Make something achievable.
Yes,
you know,
to give you that confidence.
to give you the
it comes from
confidence.
you know.
Yes, I mean, like when these kids are, you know, doing the karate at little, every week you get a new color black belt. You know,
Yeah.
like you're orange, you're yellow. Then
Yeah.
all of a sudden,
It's hard to get the
you
black
can't.
belt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, I mean,
Yeah.
Each steps are gonna be harder and harder.
yes,
But that like you can't
learn.
create that big gap in those steps. It needs to be a small gap that's achievable.
Exactly.
I like it.
yeah, I do
I
too.
like it. Well, this was so nice. Thank you, Jay.
Thanks for
Thank
having me,
you,
guys. I
Jay.
appreciate it.
really
Thank you so
appreciate your
much.
time. It's Blossom Academy.
Of course.
I want
Yep.
you to add your handle so people can,
Absolutely.
you know, find, and especially if you're interested in snowboarding, he's the
your guy.
best.
Yep, absolutely.
He could have his own team here.
Yes.
I'm telling you.
Thank you so much for having me.
It
It's
was
been a
so
pleasure.
nice to have you. I appreciate it.
Thank
and
you.
Kelly and I are hitting the road.
We're going to Aspen.
We're going to Aspen. We're
Nice.
coming
Yes.
to meet you.
Guess what? I'm going to Aspen too. That's awesome. I'll see you
We're
guys
going
out
to see
there.
you there.
Let's
We're
have
going to
a-
podcast from Aspen.
Another
let's have a
road
fun
trip.
dinner.
Oh,
Yes,
yes,
we're gonna have some
we
fun dinners. We get to go to all these
planned.
mountain
Be
towns.
supportive.
I love it. That's what we're
and,
gonna do.
and just be there.
That's it.
You know,
That's what we love to
supportive.
do.
I'm sitting on the sidelines.
Listening and enjoying the show.
That's
And
it.
we're going to do What is it? Inferno Pilates.
Oh, we're doing Inferno Pilates. So it's the Pilates underneath the red light.
Yep.
Have you heard about the red lights, Jay? We got to do this for your athletes.
I don't think I have. No, I
It's
don't think I have.
supposedly, we haven't tried
Stay
it.
tuned.
Stay tuned
Okay.
because it is supposed to have a huge health benefit
Okay.
for muscle recovery, everything. It's this infrared light. So
Is it kind of like a sauna or like the same
So
effect
they
as a
have
sauna?
them in tanning beds that you can go in. But my sister-in-law was telling me you can also just point the light like at a spot that's hurting
Yeah.
or whatever, and
Yeah.
it's supposed to help
I hope
repair.
they're
But
really
we're doing
long
a
tubes.
Pilates class under the lights.
Yes,
Wow. Okay.
in Aspen.
Okay.
And if it's
So-
great, we'll have you try class.
Yes.
I'm into that. If
Yeah.
if you guys are like
Yeah,
inviting
we'd
me,
love
I'm
for
I'm
you.
definitely doing it.
We'd love for
Great.
you. I know you love
Definitely.
to work out.
I love to work out. I love to take care of my body and just feel healthy. you
Yeah.
know?
It's always good. It's
Yeah.
always good.
Always
It's always
good.
good. Well,
Well,
thanks everybody.
Yes, thank you
Please
for joining
like,
us.
subscribe, and share.
Yes, thank you for
Absolutely.
remembering.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yep.
We'll see you next
We'll
week.
see you next week.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in and listening to this week's episode of JK, It's Not About You.
You can write in and ask your questions on our show's Instagram page at JK It's Not About You, and we will address your questions on the next week's episode.
If this episode helped you, we would love for you to share it with your friends and family.
Share the fun with all those that can benefit from a good laugh or cry with us.
Please rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and we would greatly appreciate you.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.